Well, hello, folks. Glad you could join me back in my shop tonight on this cold winter night. It's before Christmas is the time of this filming. And if some of you remember in a previous video, I began mounting an old bluegill that I had in my shop. And that's him mounted right there. And I thought I would take a few minutes and show you some of the other techniques that I do in completing the mount job. This will be kind of like part 2 of the bluegill mount. And this was, or if you remember me saying, I think, in the last video, this was a very, very old bluegill I had in the freezer. It was mine personally, and I didn't know whether I was going to be able to mount it or not because it had been in there so long I wasn't sure if it had gone through freezer burn. So thankfully I was able to get it mounted, and one that was delicate like that, I decided, if you remember, not to put it on a form but to use the fill method on the back there. And I thought it would be a lot easier because the skin being possibly easy to tear and end up losing a lot of scales and stuff like that. So what I did to help prevent that was I soaked the whole fish before even skinning it out, if I remember right, probably 2 to 3 days down in a solution, none other than denatured alcohol. And that kind of helps does something to the skin and helps the scales stay a little more intact. That's one of the things that I do with my crappie or crappie, because on those the scales are very easy to come out. They're one of the most, crappie is one of the most difficult freshwater fish to mount as far as losing scales. And there being an old largemouth bass he's got an old tough hide, and it's a lot harder to lose the scales on a largemouth bass. But I'm going to show you some methods, and I thank you for liking and sharing and subscribing, and you guys that has hung in there with me, being subscribers, that lets me know that I've done something right that has earned your viewing, and I appreciate that. I'm gonna tell you a little something that happened to me back in the 1st of October. Before we get into this fish mounting, back in the 1st of October, I go every once in a while. I have some back issues, and I go every once in a while and get an injection. So the doctor, I told him I'd been having some mid-back problems, and sometimes sitting in the boat irritates me, especially my John boat, but the other boat also. And I don't say anything on camera because, but sometimes I'm fishing, and I love to fish. Sometimes it's hurting me, and I just don't say anything. But I told the doctor that, and he said, well, let's get an upgraded x-ray. So I went and I took the x-ray, and so I came back. The technician took me back to the office or the room that the doctor was to see me in, and I didn't realize the doctor had gone on to another patient and he wasn't going to see me that day. But they had the x-ray pulled up on the screen, and I looked at the x-ray and I thought, I'm no technician, but something just don't look right on that thing. That's not a normal x-ray. So I went on home. Well, the next morning, very early in the morning, the doctor called me and he said, there is a huge mass showing up around your esophagus area on this x-ray, and I want you to have a CT scan very soon. So I made preparations to do that and told him where I wanted it done, and Of course, you know they're not going to do it as fast as these tests as fast as what we would want them to do it sometimes. But I got on the phone and I began to call some what I consider dynamic prayer warriors. And how many of you know when you are desiring serious prayer, you don't want just someone to that's going to give you a now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep prayer. You're going to want someone to get in the foxhole with you and stay there until that battle's over with. So I called several people, not a lot, but some that I thought was good prayer warriors. And I said, look, here's how I want you to pray. I want you to pray one time for my healing. After that, I want you just to begin to thank the Lord for a good report. And so they said they would do that. And so eventually I went and had the CT scan, and I heard nothing, and I heard nothing, and finally I called the people that done the CT scan, and I said, you know, I'm wondering what's going on. And the guy told me, he said, well, no news is good news. So later on, the doctor called to talk with me, and just to cut everything down short, I'm just going to say it like this. There's no mass there. The CT scan did not show a mass. So I am very thankful for that. I won't go into a lot of other details. Old back still irritates me, but hey, I thank God for working in modern day ways. Jesus Christ is always there taking care of those that belong to Him, and He loves us to trust Him. So let's get into this fish here, and I'm going to show you some more steps that I do in the finishing. We won't finish it today, but the finishing process of completing the mount job. One thing I like using, I can get this camera aimed right. One thing I like using is the gloves. You can pick these latex gloves up like I use. Keep your hands kind of protected. You pick them up for a little or nothing sometimes, especially when they're on sale. I get mine from Harbor Freight. Sometimes you can find them almost half cost. What I'm using here is epoxy sculpt. I use either All Game, which the All Game I had is kind of hardened up. I bought a large amount of it, so I decided not to buy as much this time because I don't constantly mount like you would if you were really going at it. This is epoxy sculpt. Now you could find this at a craft and hobby shop. I don't know. I always order mine from Taxidermy Supplies. So, but it's good stuff. It's 2-part mixture. When it hardens, it hardens up like a rock. And water is your friend in using this, so you want to keep some water nearby. Let me dig some out of there and mix it up, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's see if we can dig enough out of there. Let me see if I can get something else to get that out of there with. See if I can get it out of there with one of these old tongue depressors. This stuff is kind of hard until you put some water in with it. It want to get me enough to do some good here. And I think I'm gonna have to get something else. That's just not strong enough. I should have known better than that. Many times as I've done this. Let's see if this here helps me a little bit better, and I think it will. I'm gonna dig some more out because I think we're gonna need a lot more than that. But this will do for now. And let me see if I can get just as much of this other part, part A and part B. And this is part A here. But I want to get the same amount on both of them. Try to get an equal mixture. For it to blend together like it needs to. I'm going to get a little bit more of this, just a little bit. Okay, I think that's about right. Let me close these back up, put them over to the side. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to blend this stuff up. And like I said, water is your friend when it comes to this. And you want to mix it very well, where it's blending together. Both part A and part B is blending together very well. You know, when I was learning to do this stuff, I didn't have someone on social media showing me how it's done. I had to spend money and pay for, let's say, for the classes I took to learn how to do this stuff. And you're getting, you're getting some free footage here on how to do things. If you'll go back to that other video that I made when I mounted that thing, it'll show you a lot. It's a lot easier to mount. It's a lot easier to skin, should I say, skin out and mount any kind of fish that's fairly fresh. But that fish there, I'm taking it, was in the freezer over a year or longer. And you really don't need a fish in there that long. I wouldn't recommend, if you got a trophy you wanted mounted, I would recommend not leaving it in your freezer no more than 6 months, 3 months actually. And if you can afford to have it done, go ahead and take it to the taxidermy. He may not be able to get it, mounted right then because he may be backed up, but you're better off going ahead and giving it to him and just letting him get to it as soon as you can. And if you really want him to get to it really fast and to get it really done quickly, pay him in advance. Quite possible he'll move your mount to the front of the line because he's already been paid. He knows he's going to get paid. There's times I got a bass and a shell cracker over there on the wall right now that I mounted, both of them, for a guy. I've never seen him since. That's been years ago. He never came back for his fish. So I mounted it and put it on the wall, and although I didn't catch them, I look at them myself. And that was years ago. Now, if he comes back, if he came back now, I'm sorry, I gotta charge him modern day prices. If he'd have got it back then, he wouldn't have had that. He'd have had the old prices. And I think I just about got this mixed up just right. I like it well blended and to be able to work with really well. And so I think I got that accomplished. Okay. I'm just going to lay this right here to lay the fish across for the moment. Now, let me wet that up a little bit more so I can keep it in mountable condition. I mean, a workable condition. And if you remember, when I put this fish filler in here, there's a block of wood in there. You got to have a block of wood when you're using fish filler. Now, the forms usually come with one inside of them, but when you use one of them. But this I use fish filler, and you got to have one in there. So when you go to mount it on whatever you're going to mount it on, board or driftwood or what have you, you got to have something in there for them screws to go in. Okay, let's see what we can get accomplished here. I'm going to put that right there like that, and then I'm going to begin to work with it. And this will cover up that seam. And harden things up. You want that, you want all that covered up. And this is the back side of the fish, so it'll be okay. Now, you gotta work with it. I don't want it too thin, but neither do I want it too thick. Let's work some back this way, back toward the front of the fish. This will be against the wall, so it's not going to hurt a thing. And I'll be painting over some of this as well, so it will not be noticeable. Okay, let me get just a little bit more for that tail section. Don't think I need that much.
On the hem of the robe all around. And it shall be upon Aaron when he ministers, and a sound will be heard when he goes into the holy place before the Lord. He comes out, he may not die. You shall also make a
It won't hurt to come down on that tail a little bit. It won't hurt at all. It'll just help stabilize it a little more.
put it on a blue cord, that it may be on the turban, it shall be on the front of the turban. So it shall be on Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things which the children of Israel
Like I said, this was
and it shall always be on his forehead.
an old fish. I didn't even really know if I was going to be able to mount it. I really was not.
With a fine linen, you shall make the sash of woven wood. For Aaron's sons you shall make tunics, and you shall make sashes for them, and you shall make hats for them, for glory and beauty. So you shall put them on Aaron, your brother, and on his sons with you. You shall anoint them.
Okay, I got a spot right here that was not that great.
Make for them linen trousers to cover their nakedness. They shall reach from the waist to the
And you might think
be on Aaron
that man's going to have one ugly fish.
near the altar to minister in the holy place.
Well, I promise you,
Your iniquity is done. It shall be a
when it's all said and done,
and his descendants after.
you're not even going to notice this.
What you shall do to them to hallow them for ministering to me as priests. Take one young
It'll be
two rams without
covered over,
unleavened bread, unleavened cakes mixed with oil,
and
wafers anointed with oil. You shall make them of wheat.
and looking good. I guarantee you.
Bring them in the basket.
I've been doing this
And Aaron and his sons you shall bring to the door.
for a long, long time.
You shall wash them with water. Then you shall take the garments, put the tunic on Aaron, and the robe of the ephod and the breastplate, and gird him with the
Now let me get find my sculpting tool
holy crown.
right here.
You shall take the anointing oil, pour it on his head, and anoint him. Then you shall bring his sons and put tunics on them. You shall gird them with sashes, Aaron and his sons, and put the hats on them. The priesthood shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. So you shall consecrate Aaron and his sons. You shall also have the bull brought before the tabernacle of meeting. Aaron and his sons shall put their hands on the
You got to be
Then you shall kill the bull before the Lord by the door of the tabernacle.
basically and
Take some of the blood of the
have some artist work skills to do this, really. Anybody can do it if they put their mind to it. You can do it. I'm showing you how to do some of this stuff with this fish, and you may not even need to go to a taxidermy. Next time you catch an old huge bluegill, you might decide, I ain't paying that man for that. I'll do that myself. Of course, most of them is not in this bad of a shape. You'll have something that's easier to work with. Let's put some right here. Yes, sir. When you have some back issues like I have to do this in segments sometimes because it don't take long standing up over this table that the old back will begin hurting with you. And we're right before Christmas is when I'm filming this, and thankfully winter has started, not because I like winter, but because now I get to see the long days come back. And I love the long days. It's sundown right now is about 5:15. Eastern time. But in the near future, well, in the future, it's going to start lengthening up now, the days. And thankfully, we'll start having some of them long daylight hours, and that's what I like. I love the long daylight hours. I love sunset at 8 and 8:30 in the evening. Plus, when I get to go fishing, means I don't have to be in such a rush to come home because of darkness. I can stay on the water longer. Who don't like that? What fishermen don't like being able to stay on the water longer? Normally with a better fish, I wouldn't have to spend this much time covering up the back like this. I wouldn't. I would have not as much exposure back here, and I just want, even though he's my fish. Now, if I had your fish, he would not have stayed in the freezer for years. I would have had him out and mounted long before he got in the condition of this one. Yes, sir, I would have. Because if I'm doing your fish, I'm gonna do my best to do excellency on your fish. I'm gonna do my best to make him look absolutely great. And of course, I want to make this one look great too. Like I said, you're gonna be surprised. You're gonna be surprised how he turns out. Even though he was in the shape he was in, you are going to be surprised. If you stick with me on all this. Stuck my finger there. These old fins will still stick you if you're not careful. Okay, maybe I should put a little bit there. Now see, you don't want to be doing a whole lot of this on the front side of the fish, the show side, as we call it. Okay, coming right along. Whew, boy, my old back is giving me a fit. I get this done, this part done, I'm going to have to come back with you guys for a maybe a part 2 for all this. Now what I'm doing right here in this throat latch area, you'd be surprised how many largemouth bass you get that's had this done to the throat latch area that you don't even know has been done, because you can't tell. Cover that little spot right there. Now this is tedious work. It can be time consuming, so if you don't have patience, you're not going to be able to do this. Okay, let's see how I'm going to hold this fish while I work right there. A little bit right here on the front. Right in there. Okay. I come in here sometimes and I put on some CDs listening to the Bible in audio form and listening to some of that Old Testament laws and rules, and boy, they had, I sure am glad Jesus came and died for us and we're under grace, because some of the stuff they had to do back then, whoo, boy, that would have been something else. Sacrificing some of them animals back there in that time. Okay, let's see, where we're going from here. Do I need to do anything else? Back here. I'm just going to put a little bit right there. Okay, let's take a look and see what we've got here so far. See, you won't even see that on the front side. It'll be up against the wall on whatever other side to mount it in. But that'll harden up. I got a little bit of mixed sculpt all there. I'm going to use it on some of them other fish that I've dried. And okay, let's let that dry. It'll be getting, by tomorrow this time, it'll be getting kind of hard, and 48 hours it'll really be hard. So we're going to let that there, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what I do after that. We're going to have to eventually mix up some stuff and set those eyes. I hope I got some more eyes without ordering them. I'm going to have to look to make sure I've got the right eyes for all that. So I'll see you in a little while, the next round, and we'll go from there. Hope you learned something, but stay tuned. It's going to go farther than this. You're going to see how this fish is going to, hopefully see how this fish will eventually turn out. So, thank you for watching this part.